come and transform these crusty, dusty, musty Bitten nails with me. Grab a brew, take a seat, and let's begin. So you're going to start off by pushing the cuticles back. With any bitten nail, you need to make sure you've got as much real estate as possible. So pushing that nail, but that cuticle back rather, will really help. Now my nails are quite damaged. Unfortunately, I didn't remove my last set properly because anxiety took over. I am putting another set on so I don't keep breaking them. And this is why I will treat nail biters, obviously to an extent. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do the same length that I would do on myself, but if somebody came to me and wanted a bitten nail transformation, I'd absolutely do everything I can to give them a set that they could at least start growing their nails out with. As I said before, I am making as much nail plate as possible, or clearing as much nail plate as possible. So you'll see I've pushed that back. Now, just doing this is giving me an extra couple of mil, so it means that retention is going to be even better going forward. I need to get all of that dead skin off the nail plate and really, really cleanse it. I do tend to probably over prep my nails when I've had a really bad biting session. But then having said that, I am really gentle, if that makes sense. So I really, really make sure there's everything off. And when I'll go in with a sanding band in a moment, I'm using a really, really soft kind of low grit, well, high grit, low grit. So I'm using about a 240 with my sanding band on a very, very low speed, because obviously I just want to etch the nail plate. I don't want to take any more layers of nail plate off than I've already done myself with my teeth. So yeah, so we're just going to go around all of those cuticles, make sure they're all nice and clear, and then in a moment we'll go in with the sanding band. Now oh, in fact, I beg your pardon. Before that, obviously, we are using the cuticle scissors. These are from Katie Barnes. She does them in black and silver. If you head to the link in my bio, I've got all of my kind of links there. I do get some small commissions for some things, but then, you know, I mean, it does help me kind of, you know, run the page. So snip all of that off. Again, it's just non-living tissue. I'm not snipping anything that's alive. I'm just literally clearing that nail plate so I can get something on the nails. If you are enjoying this, could I ask a favour? Could you possibly like and follow for more, and also share this with anybody that you think would benefit from it, even if it's another nail biter? In all honesty, I hear a lot that people get turned away. Now, I understand that, I really do to an extent, but I also know that as a nail biter myself, I'm not going to go away and stop biting my nails. So I think it's really important that, you know, where possible, we can offer these services. So I'll go in after I've done all of that with my sanding band, sorry, my round ball bit, and then I'll go in with my sanding band in a moment. With the ball bit, I am literally just lifting that cuticle and pushing it a little bit further back. I'm not touching the nail plate at all, because otherwise, because of the shape of it, you're likely to get rings of fire. This is literally just to clean the nail plate. So going in with a sanding band. Now, this is 240 grit. It's from Katie Barnes. It's the mini sanding band and mandrel bit, and it is absolutely fantastic. I've got really, really small nails, like tiny, so that's perfect for me and my other clients. To be fair, it suits all of them. I'm using a really, really light tickling motion. I'm getting right down the side walls. I'm probably putting more emphasis in the back of the cuticle of the nail rather than towards the free edge. The reason being, the free edge is quite damaged, so I really don't want to take any more away from that. I just want to make sure that I'm taking anything, you know, any kind of excess, any excess tissue, making sure it's very lightly etched and it's ready, and it's really ready for those nails. This is another reason as well, I would say, if you're doing this on a client, don't go too long. Mine are probably a bit longer, but I'm normally pretty good with wearing long nails because I've been wearing long nails. So I've gone for what for me is a relatively short extension, but I wanted to kind of, you know, do a kind of happy medium, especially because I wanted to film it for people. But I would definitely probably only take them just to the end of the nail if you're going to be doing something like this. And sometimes I find this is better than putting builder gel on the natural nails, because they're more likely to come back because they'll look pretty in the first place. Then we need to go in with our tips. Now, I tried a few different tips, but because I've been biting so much, the end of my fingers were very swollen. However, these tips from Nails by Ashley are fantastic because they're quite sturdy, and I use them with the Pro Impressions glue. Because they are quite sturdy, I found that they really pushed the bulbous end of the finger down and really helped with that shape. So I recommend these 10 out of 10. They're proper solid. Whenever you are fitting a tip, always go for slightly larger than slightly smaller. I did it off camera, unfortunately. I didn't get it on camera, but normally I will file these down and trim them. Just to, I'd rather go up and then kind of size them down to shape. Otherwise, you are forcing it on and then it's much more likely to ping off, cause problems, cause lifting, that kind of thing. Now I'm also lining these up with the knuckle rather than the other, and I kind of obviously have a look back to the other nails as well, just to make sure they're lined up with them. But the reason that I do that is because I want them to look straight on the nail. Now, for example, my pointer finger, this one here, is incredibly crooked to the point where it's almost like like a C shape. It's curved. So what I'll do is I won't line it up with the nail. I'll line it up with the knuckle, the joint below the kind of the knuckle, if that makes any sense. So the reason that I do that is because I want it to look straighter. So it'll look a bit funny at the minute, but when you get all the acrylic on, it'll look much straighter and more uniform. So again, you'll see there, my finger's bent, but the actual tip looks straight. Then go in with your cutters, cut them down to shape. I do cut them much shorter than this, but again, it was kind of off camera a little bit because this would have been, I mean, I probably would have worn them, but in fairness, like I say, I wanted to do a more instructional video, so I did take them a little bit shorter just to be much more sensible. Now, unfortunately, I didn't catch all of the shaping, but I did manage to catch this, and I would say this is probably my best tip. When you are doing an almond shape, I cut the corners off. I was absolutely mad as hell with myself because I've got a pair of cuticle sorry, nail clippers that have got a curve on them, and they are so much better. These scissors help. It was definitely better than just cutting them with a straight scissor, but I find the curve really helps because it kind of gives you a bit of shape to go with, if that makes sense. And you'll see there the almond shape, although I haven't taken a lot off, is kind of already there, and it's much less filing. So there we've filed them. And we're going in with I've also cleansed and dehydrated them. I use a mix of acetone and alcohol. It's about 30% alcohol to 70% alcohol. 70% alcohol to 30% acetone. And when it's really clean and dehydrated, I then go in with my Young Nails Protein Bond, and I'll use 2 coats of that, especially for problem lifters. Honestly, this has absolutely changed the game. Also, I feel it's important here that I think people feel sometimes like embarrassed or ashamed about biting the nails. I know I certainly used to, but the more I talk to people, the more I realise it's very common. A, it's a stress response, which is certainly one of the reasons I do it. But I've also got ADHD, and I find that unfortunately once I start, it's such a compulsion. I really struggle to stop. So if somebody comes to you with this, or if you are suffering with this as well, with nail biting, skin picking, anything like that, be kind to yourself because actually it's very common. There's an awful lot of us, and funnily enough, there's an awful lot of us nail techs that do it. So yeah, I don't know whether there's a direct correlation with us trying to make our nails pretty and then ending up obsessed, but yeah. I am going in with a clear base layer. Again, I want to have as much adhesion on this set as possible because I'm not, they're perhaps a little bit longer. So I'm just really tucking that into the cuticle and wiping that down the nail. Again, this is on the pointer finger. I'm trying to angle that nail down, and whenever I'm working with the monomer, I'll normally kind of work slightly wetter just so I can get a really, really thin layer. You do learn with your monomers and that kind of thing, the ratios that you need for different parts, but on the whole, you'll normally kind of use the same kind of ratio. So again, just going in there, you can, if you'll notice, you can barely see that. Now I am going in with a nude and glitter over the top, so I'm not worried about nail staining. I just wanted to kind of have the adhesion. Then I'm going in with the ombre. I am using some colours from CJP. Now, I think, if I remember rightly, it's Green Eyed Monster is the green, Ice Baby is the blue, then there is Lemon Curd. I've got them here actually. So it's Lemon Curd, then Panther and Candy Love. So they are all glitter acrylics, beautiful glitter acrylics. You'll notice that I am literally just popping wherever I need. I've obviously missed a little corner there. So I've just got in practically with a wet brush with hardly any monomer on it, just to literally pick up the tiniest bead. And I'll just fill that in. When I got to the more orangey colour, I realised they hadn't mixed very well, so I had a real nightmare applying it. You'll see that in a moment. But I'm literally just popping the bead on, and then you'll notice I'm just using the tip of my brush. I don't wipe my brush a lot. I like to keep the monomer in there, and then I will literally just use that brush to move the acrylic where I want it on the nail plate. What I am trying to do, and I'll hope you'll see that with this particular nail is I'm trying to kind of fade it out. So I found it a little bit easy when I put the bead on kind of almost in a reverse fashion like I am there, because it meant that I was able to soften up the free edge where the blend area is going to be. I'm not desperately worried because I'm going to be painting over these. I haven't done that in this video, but I'm hoping to get another video up when I do it of a design that I'm planning on doing on it. So yeah, then I will go in, and this is the one that I went, and I think it's Candy Love, this one. And it's really easy to apply normally, but I needed to have given it a bit of a shake because there wasn't enough powder. It was just glitter on the top. I think it had all settled. So you'll see I'm frantically shaking it there. And there was a few times I lost beads and it just wasn't right. So again, I've left this in because while it is an absolute SH1T show of the plot application, I wanted you to see that this happens to everybody, and sometimes the products just don't work how you think they're going to work, and it's just a nightmare. One thing I would say, if you're struggling with something like this, what you can do is apply it, pop it on, leave it for a second to set, and then you can go back in. Now, the reason being is what the acrylic that you've put on will set where it wants to, or where you want it, and then you can go on and add more. I find, particularly when you're using glitter, that really, really helps. Sometimes I'll even go in with a very thin wash of clear acrylic, and then I'll leave it, and then I'll go back just after a few seconds, just so it's set and it's not moving anymore, so I know where I need the coverage. I hope that makes sense. So again, I'm just using the tip of my brush just to coax this down towards the free edge, and I am getting that everywhere I want it. Then I go in with, this one is called Birthday Attire from Nails by Ashley. The core system, so the clear and the nude, are both from by Ashley with her monomer. I will never mix. The only thing I'll mix in occasionally is like a colour or a glitter, and I'll only use that with a different one. But the majority of that nail will be all Nails by Ashley, just because I think otherwise you're much more likely to affect your adhesion. Whereas with the colour powders, you're using them in a thin wash. It's similar to painting something on, so I find that better. I am literally kind of tucking that into the cuticle, as you can see there. Then I'm just using the belly of my brush just to feather that down. You'll see as I'm going along, wherever I need to, I'm adding a little bit of extra if I need to. But please don't think, oh, I can't add it. It's got to be in this one bead. It doesn't, especially when you're working with a nail like this. You specifically don't want it to be thick. So if you have to add very thin, washy beads like I've just done there, that's absolutely fine. So again, work how suits you. If you can do it in one bead, fantastic. Because it'll probably save you a bit of time as well, but that will come, so don't worry too much. You'll see in a moment when I'm doing the middle finger, I do exactly that. I've kind of put it on and it didn't, see this one pretty much blended perfectly straight away, dead happy with that. This one, it blended, but then it went all down the right-hand side. There was nothing on the left-hand side of the nail. So you'll see I go in with, again, just a small, really wet bead, pop it on, wipe it down the nail, no problem. I am a faffer actually, because as much as I was like, oh, that was perfect, I've gone in and added another bead. And sometimes I just can't help myself. I try not to do that too much with clients because obviously I don't want them to be there for, you know what I mean, a day and a half just for one set of nails. But I do like things to be pretty happy with it. So again, wherever I need to, I am adding that extra little bits, but I'm working thin. So it's really important to remember, if you are doing a nail like this, you need to work thin. Because especially because it's not a particularly long nail, so you don't have a lot of room for manoeuvre with the actual bulk. Once I've done all this, I will cap it. So I'm going to let you watch for a minute. If you do have any questions or anything like that about the way I've done something, or anything that you want to see, let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you, and I love to hear your ideas of what you'd like to see next. So please do feel free to pop that in the comments. Also, just to add, this nail did not go on how I wanted it, but you'll notice because I have monomer in the actual brush, it moved that. So do you see how that kind of flattened that out really well using the tip of the brush? So this is why I don't wipe my brush too much. Obviously, I try and keep it, make sure it's clean, so I will get anything out of it. But it's just something to bear in mind, that the monomer in your brush, used correctly, can really, really help fuel that bead and keep it moving when you need it to. So then we're capping in clear. I am working, I'm trying to not to faff too much. So allow gravity to help you. I think I did wipe that one, and I've gone in with I probably dampened it again. You'll see I'm dampening it with a little bit more monomer there because I need to keep that bead moving. But yes, I'm literally just using the belly of the brush just to flatten that out and get that into the shape that I want it. So in a minute you'll see how the apex should be. So I've left this in so you can see how an apex to be. So I will look at the nail from all angles, and you'll see there, that's kind of what you want your apex to look like. Now that is going to vary in size. If it's a very long nail, it's going to be slightly higher, but you need it to kind of come out at that angle from the cuticle. So it's not like at a right angle, I suppose. The reason being that if it's like that, you're more likely to catch it. So that's why people talk about sealing the cuticles. You want it to be as smooth into that cuticle as possible. See, again, here in a minute, I am just smoothing that off. Once I'm happy with it, I'll check it from all angles. So I'm looking down the barrel, I'm checking from the side, and again, it means that I'm not getting to the end, starting to file and realise that I'm going to lose a load of glitter or something like that. So I suppose it's about working smarter, not harder. Sometimes if you put a bit more effort in at the beginning, you'll find that things like your filing is easier. It means you don't need to go in after you've completely finished everything and add more acrylic, then wait for it to dry. So yeah, really, really important that you kind of work and really fine tune your application. So then I go in, this is, I think it's a medium bit from Hayley Winder. Now she's not in my links in my bio, but she does some fabulous bits and some really, really nice cuticle oils, etc. And also gels and everything. So highly recommend her. And it's just HW Nail Systems. If you Google that, she'll come up. But you'll see here as well, I'm using that all the way around. So I'm kind of refining the shape a little bit underneath. I am getting to a point now with my e-file where I do the majority of my filing with my e-file, very carefully, but it just, I'm getting a lot of pain in my shoulders and I'm just finding it's really, really minimizing that. So you'll see here again, I'm not taking too much off. I'm going from right to left on the nail. Of course, I'm disappearing slightly out of shot there, but bear with me. But in a moment, I will seal around that cuticle. See there, and you'll see how that comes out. It doesn't come out kind of at an angle. There's no ledge. It just comes out smoothly from the nail, from the cuticle, as it were. It's almost like it's growing out of the nail. I will leave you again to watch this, but as I've said before, if anything pops into your mind, if you've got any questions, do let me know in the comments, and I'll try and get back to you. Now, I haven't left the hand filing in, but if you would like a tutorial on that, I will try and I'll get my hand out, my fake hand, and I'll try and do a bit of a tutorial on that. But it's just because, especially because I was filming on myself, it's really difficult to get it all in. Once you've done that, you will cleanse and top coat. I cannot remember offhand what this top coat is. I think it might be from Jellyfique. I love their top coats. And they last and they stay really shiny too. So yes, I am just going to top coat that, pop it in the lamp, and then go in with my Tough Love Company Bubble Mint cuticle oil, which is just divine. And that's it. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, comments, anything like that, pop them in the comments, and please do make sure you drop us a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos coming out. I am adoring doing this long form content, and I am super grateful for anybody who's here to watch it. So thank you so much for watching, and you enjoy the rest of your day and the final set coming up shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye now.